Here we'll do another hypothesis test with this question. Different cereals are randomly selected and the sugar content in grams of sugar per grams of cereal are obtained. Use a 0.05 significance level to test the claim of cereal lobbyists that the mean sugar content for all cereals is less than 0.3. Now we have a list of data to operate on, but before we operate on it, we'll write the claim. Let's look for the word claim in the question. Now, the claim that's being made is that the mean sugar content for all the cereals is less than 0.3. This question does mention means, so we'll use the letter mu. We see the words less than, so we'll use the less than sign. And we see the number 0.3. Let's write those together now. We'll have mu less than 0.3. Now, because the claim does not contain equal to, this will be the alternate hypothesis, H1. And we'll write the word claim next to it. Now for step 2, we write the opposite of that. That will be our null hypothesis. Rather than saying less than, we'll say greater than or equal to. We'll still use the letter mu and the number 0.3. Also, because the alternate hypothesis said less than, that tells us that this test will be left tail. With our claims written, let's consider the possible outcomes of the hypothesis test. If our big P is less than or equal to alpha, that means that we have strong evidence, which means we would reject the null hypothesis. Because we are rejecting the null hypothesis, imagine if we crossed it out, that would leave the claim behind. Therefore, we would support the claim in rejecting the null hypothesis. The other possibility is that the big P is greater than alpha. In this case, we have evidence that is not strong. Therefore, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. Now, if we failed to reject the null hypothesis, imagine if we boxed in the null hypothesis and accepted it. That means we could not accept the claim because the claim is the alternate. Now, calculating the test statistic will take a few steps in this problem. To calculate the test statistic t, we use the equation equals x bar minus mu divided by s divided by square root of n. We can make a place for all of these symbols in Excel. We'll place mu, x bar, s, and n. The mu we can read directly from the claim. The mean that was claimed is 0.3. We'll enter that for mu. To calculate x bar, we can use the list of data on the left side. We can calculate the sample mean by saying equals average. Open parentheses and select our list of data. For standard deviation, we use stdev.s and again select the list. This will find the sample standard deviation. For n, the size of our sample will be however many numbers are in this list. We can let Excel do that for us by saying equals count, and once again select the list. This gives us the pieces we need to find the test statistic t. We'll say equals, parentheses x bar subtract mu, close the parentheses, divide and open up another set of parentheses, and say s divide by square root of n. Close the parentheses twice to finish, and press enter, and we now have our test statistic. Now we use the test statistic to calculate the big P value. We'll make a place for the left tail, right tail, and two tail. Now, in this particular hypothesis test, we only need the left tail, but I'll show you how to calculate all three. For the left tail, we use the function t.dist, click the test statistic, comma, click N, subtract 1, comma, true. There's our big P value for the left tail. If you need to do the right tail or two tail, the right tail will simply be equals 1 subtract the left. The two tail will equal 2 times whichever of the left or right is lower using the min function in Excel. Now let's compare our big P against our alpha. Our alpha was 0.05. That's the significance level. Let's make more room to write our conclusion. Our big P value is the P value for the left tail, 0.44. The alpha is 0.05. The big P is definitely larger than alpha, and so we can say that we have evidence that is not strong, and we cannot reject the null hypothesis. That means we have to keep it, and so we box it in green. This means we cannot support the claim. Now let's rewrite our conclusion. We can say there is not sufficient evidence at alpha equals 0.05. Now, what do we not have sufficient evidence to do? We don't have sufficient evidence to support the claim. So we'll say there is not sufficient evidence at alpha equals 0.05 to support the claim. It doesn't hurt at this point to reread the question one last time and make sure that you understand what the claim is. The claim that the cereal lobbyist made was that the mean sugar content is less than 0.3 grams. Let's restate that here. So we have mentioned the evidence, we've mentioned the significance level, we have decided whether to support the claim or not support the claim, and we've restated the claim itself. These are the things we need to say when drawing